Well, Jimmy Kimmel is still in an incredible sense of denial as he's been melting down in the weeks ever since Stephen Colbert was fired. And he's bringing on as many guests as he possibly can to help channel his Trump derangement syndrome. He knows his days are numbered. Everybody knows that. And on top of that, he is now proposing a pathetic, desperate attempt to try and save Stephen Colbert's job and or dignity, but no one cares because late night television is cooked and these guys cooked it. By the way, I covered that story yesterday about a 3-year-old who just went to their first day of daycare and a 47-year-old thug pummeled them mercilessly. I wanted to send, he's got a 1-year-old brother and a 3-year-old brother. I want to send them on a nice little vacation to get their mind off of this. I mentioned in the video yesterday I was going to start a Give, Send, Go. I did. There's $2,100 already raised out of $10,000 goal. It's just givesendgo.com/help-clay. I'll leave that linked in the pinned comment as well if you want to support them. Jimmy Kimmel mourns Colbert's cancellation, says watching Trump get booed cheered him up. This is not going, this is not going well. Let's just say he's not in a good spot. I just want to say that the idea that Stephen Colbert's show is losing $40 million a year is beyond nonsensical. Jimmy Kimmel said in a reaction to reports on knowledge emanating from CBS insiders that Colbert's show was losing between $40 and $50 million annually. Well, that's just true, though. CBS specifically said that. On top of the fact that obviously, his unhinged TDS probably cost the network tons of advertisers. And we know for a fact it cost them millions of viewers because they wanted half the country. They hated half the country and they didn't want them around. By the way, let me just show you what, why Jimmy Kimmel is melting down. Let me just show you what these people with their Trump derangement syndrome did to what they could have had. This is what they could have had. All right. Greg Gutfeld's interview delivers massive ratings boost to Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show. Well, that's generally what happens when you invite everybody to your party instead of just the unhinged 30% of obese, brightly colored haired weirdos. The struggling world of late night television got a shocking ratings boost when Greg Gutfeld, host of Fox News' Gutfeld, appeared on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show. The appearance skyrocketed the show's viewership to its highest point of the year, drawing 1.7 million viewers total, a staggering 57% jump from the program's 2025 average of 1.1 million. The rating surge is proof of a growing audience appetite for diverse perspectives in late night television, where progressive hosts have long dominated with one-sided lineups. Gutfeld, the sharp-witted host of Fox News' Gutfeld, which consistently ranks as the top late-night show across all networks with an average over 2 million viewers nightly, joined Fallon for a lighthearted segment that steered clear of any heavy politics. The performance marks the strongest regular episode for The Tonight Show since December 2023, according to Nielsen data. The highlights Gutfeld's crossover appeal in the key 25 to 54 demographic prized by advertisers. The show pulled in 294,000 viewers, a 13% increase over the yearly average. Meanwhile, Gutfeld's own program continued its dominance in the same night, guest hosted by Kat Timpf, and attracted 2.7 million viewers, outpacing all competitors, NBC, CBS, and ABC. That is the real reason Jimmy Kimmel is melting down. That is the real reason Jimmy Kimmel is raging. Think about that. You get your walking papers. You get your, hey, you know what? The show's not making any money anymore. We got to cut. I'm sure they probably offered a pay cut to Stephen Colbert, but he wasn't going to make less than $30 million a year. The show cost, his salary is $30 million alone. Reports say the show costs $100 million total to produce, which is bonkers. Okay. Imagine if he could have kept his job if he didn't tell half the country that he didn't want them tuning in. If you were losing $40 to $50 million, and it's reasonable to assume that that number would have at least been cut in half if you had doubled the audience, right? The success comes amid broader struggles for progressive late night show hosts who have faced declining ratings and criticism from their echo chamber approach. A recent study done by the Media Research Center revealed that in the first half of 2025, 99% of political guests on all major late night comedy show hosts, comedy shows were liberal or Democrat, with a total of 76 liberals versus just one conservative across programs like the Late Night Show with Stephen Colbert, The Daily Show, and others. Now, I don't know who that one person was, but I'm going to guess it was like a never Trumper. That's what I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess that was probably, a TDS deranged Republican. Colbert Show led the pack in partisanship, hosting 29 liberals and 0 conservatives. Extending back to 2022, Colbert's featured 176 liberals and only 1 Republican. Former Representative Wyoming Liz Cheney, of course it was Liz Cheney, who ran against Trump, who appeared to primarily criticize Donald Trump. The imbalance has been linked to viewer fatigue and contributed to the recent cancellation of The Late Show, announced late in July 2025 after years of one-sided content that turned the program into what critics say a therapy session for liberals. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the real reason that Jimmy Kimmel is upset. He probably wasn't very political when he took that role. We all saw him on The Man Show, right? He was on The Man Show, air humping women and all this kind of stuff. There's something going on there, right? And he realizes, well, I've got to pander to the far left. I've got to pander to the far left. This is what I have to do. So he panders. And suddenly they're like, well, you're fired. This is Colbert, Stephen Colbert. Why are you fired? Well, you're losing money. Well, boy, I wonder what another 1 million viewers per night would have done for his show. Another 1 million viewers per night. How does Jimmy Kimmel say? Jimmy Kimmel blasts report of Stephen Colbert's Late Show losing $40 million for CBS. Not a snowball's chance, and heck, that's accurate. Well, based on what? Based on what? Where is his answer? Have you seen reports that Colbert Show is losing $40 million a year? What's your take on that? I just want to say that the idea that Stephen Colbert Show is losing $40 million a year is beyond nonsensical. These alleged insiders who supposedly analyze the budgets of the shows, I don't know who they are, but I do know they don't know what they're talking about. Well, how would Jimmy Kimmel know what the show is making or not making? He has no idea. He has no idea what the salary of everybody else in that show is. None of that. He doesn't know anything about this. I don't know who they are. They seem to totally be focused on advertising revenue and have completely forgotten about affiliate fees, which number in the hundreds of millions, probably in billions. Well, why not zillions, Jimmy Kimmel? And he must allocate a certain percentage of those fees to late night show hosts, which really is surprising how little the media seems to know about how the media works. There's just not a snowball's chance in heck that there's anywhere near accurate. Even that, all you need to know, suddenly he's losing $40 million a year. I will tell you, the first 10 years I did the show, they claimed we weren't making any money. And then we had 5 times as many viewers on ABC as we do now. Who knows what's true? All I know is they keep paying us. And that's kind of all you need to know. No, it isn't. It's entirely possible that these people are being paid through subsidies and USAID. I don't think it's a coinky-dink. I don't think that it's a coincidence that the USAID funding dropped off and then suddenly all these shows are getting canceled. I don't think that it's a coincidence that the lockdowns went away and all that Pfizer money went away. And these shows that were pushing the jab, literally singing musicals to tell people to get the jab, okay? I don't think that it's a coincidence that that stuff went away and now suddenly, right? And nobody could possibly understand why. Suddenly these shows are going away. Well, I would speculate that it's probably related. You know, what does Jimmy Kimmel do? Well, now he wants to give him an honorary Emmy. Jimmy Kimmel says voting for Stephen Colbert at the Emmys is the least we could do at this point. It would be a nice statement if he wins. So now he's trying to screw over everybody else who's supposed to be, you know, getting their, you know, who should earn the Emmy, and tell them, well, we need to vote for Colbert. Seems like voting for Stephen is the least we could do at this point, and I think it'll be a nice statement if he does win. Why? It would be a completely ceremonial, worthless statement that actually says nothing. It says nothing. It says the liberal elites in Hollywood stick together. Is anybody out there surprised by that? Is anybody shocked? And is anybody suddenly thinking, wow, we should probably keep Colbert? Seems like voting for Stephen is the least we could do. Obviously, awards don't mean much, but every once in a while they do. In this case, I think it will. So I fully expect Stephen to win the Emmy, and I think people are very, very upset about what happened to him and his show. Colbert Show has been nominated 9 years in a row, but has never won in the category. Winning the Emmy after not winning it for 9 straight years for Stephen Colbert has to actually be more, like, do they not have any sense of humiliation or shame? This would be the most humiliating. It'd be like giving, you know, an athlete an honorary PhD. It literally means nothing at all. And you have to go home and put that on your shelf. And every day when you look at that Emmy, or is it a Grammy or an Emmy? An Emmy. Every day when you wake up and you look at that Emmy, you know the only reason you got it is because you got fired. You just love to see it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below. And we'll talk to you again real soon.